if you want to change your day, if you want to change your life, we need to change our habits. Hi, I'm Tom Soul, and you're listening to the Social Seed Podcast. Right away, you need to pat yourself on the back for listening to something on social media that'll help your life. With that, we're going to dive into today's episode, Cultivating Wellness, the Ripple Effect of Healthy Habits. We are going to discuss impact of habits, recognizing our habits, how habits are formed, and good habits that will change your life. There will be 6 of those. I'm going to start off with a quote today by John C. Maxwell. It goes like this, quote, "You'll never change your life until you change something you do daily. The secret of your success is found in your daily routine." And a routine is defined as a sequence of actions you repeatedly perform without much thought. And a fun fact about habits is that 43% of our day is driven by habits, and our habits form our routines. So 43% of your day you kind of do without even thinking about it. It just happens. You're eating, you're drinking, you're working, you're sleeping, and it kind of defines what our days are like. So if you want to change your day, if you want to change your life, we need to change our habits. To do that, we need to first recognize our habits. And how would we recognize our habits? Because they are things that we do without much thought. So what habits do we have? So how do we figure those habits out? And I would do that by just asking yourself a question. Is what I'm doing helping my life or hindering my life? Because we're going to break down habits into 2 areas. Good habits, which help us succeed, and bad habits, which don't help us succeed. They take away from our success. And if we can cultivate our good habits and change our bad habits, then we can have a more successful life. And we can do this by knowing how habits are formed. And they are formed by something that is known as the habit loop. The habit loop consists of 3 areas. There is the trigger, which is the thing that gives us like the signal in our brain that says, So it's just the signal that kind of comes before the action. And then we have the routine, which is our habit that we actually do. And then we have the reward, which is the feedback in our brains that we receive from our habit. And by knowing that that's how a habit loop works, how habits are formed, then we can change that. We can recognize our triggers, and then we can change our routine and give ourselves a new reward. So take one habit. If we procrastinate and we realize that our trigger is that we don't really want to do it, or we want to do it, just not right now. And the routine is we wait. And the reward is at the end, well, we got to wait at the beginning, but at the end, we get all flustered. We have to do things quickly, and it doesn't turn out the way we want. So if the next time when that trigger happens, we recognize it that, yes, I want to not do this right now. I want to procrastinate. But you know what? We change the routine. Instead of procrastinating, we get right on it. And the reward is that we get it done. And we don't have to think about it anymore. That is done. It's not on our mind. We're not late with whatever we were supposed to be doing. We're not thinking about it. It's not causing us anxiety. So we changed our habit. And that's what you do. You evaluate, you recognize if it's a bad habit, how you want to change it. So ask yourself that question. If something is hindering you, write that habit down. Write your trigger that comes before your routine. Write down the new routine that you plan on doing, and then whatever you decide to be your reward, give it to yourself. And if you do that, the more you recognize your trigger, the more you change your routine, and the more you change your reward, you form new and good habits. So if you evaluate your life geared towards the way you want it and change all those bad habits into good habits by recognizing the habit loop, the trigger, the routine, the reward, you can make your life success. So now I have 6 habits that I feel will change your life, and they're not profound. It's nothing that's hard to do, but there's 6 areas that I feel like if you evaluate these 6 areas and make sure that you have good habits that you want to stick by and form a new routine and make them good habits, that it will change your life and you will notice an immediate change. My first one is sleep. If you figure out what time you should go to sleep and you make sure you get enough sleep hours, I guarantee it's going to change your life because you're going to feel well rested. Your body's going to feel energized in the morning, and it's going to help your mind feel more clear if you get enough sleep at night. And I know they recommend, or at least I've heard my whole life, that you should get at least 8 hours of sleep. And I've also heard that, or read that if you get the best sleep time is between 10 o'clock at night and 4 o'clock in the morning, and then, the other 2 hours after that. So 10 to 6, you'll get your 8 hours, and, you know, hopefully you'll feel the change too. And what you do is you give it a try. And there's another thing, I've read this in Robin Sharma's book, that every time you try to form a new habit, it's hard at first because it's something new. Your body is probably not going to respond well to it. It's not going to be easy. And then in the middle, it's messy, right? You're a little confused about what your new habit should be, what your new routine is going to be. And then eventually, if you stick with it and keep evaluating it, then the end result is that you get a good habit. So I think that if you decide to regulate your sleep pattern so that you get timely sleep where your body knows when it's tired and when it wants to wake up in the morning, and it's enough rest and rejuvenation that you're going to feel great. Another habit that I think is great is that eating whole foods, fruits, vegetables, drinking enough water. This is, I mean, it's been told to us our whole life, but I've recognized the difference when I eat certain foods. When I was in Curacao, every Thursday they would have a sailor dinner night, and they would serve whole portions of fish or some whole portion of meat. And I would always grab the tuna. I recognized, since we were there for like 3 months and this happened every Thursday, that I felt much better the next morning on Friday morning after I ate the tuna. It was just a nice, perfectly cooked whole piece of tuna with some rice and vegetables. And I just felt really clear in the morning. I felt good. I woke up. I felt like really free spirited, and I was ready to start the day. So eating the right foods definitely will make a change in your life. I think you should give it a try and figure out what foods work with your body that make you feel well, because that can change your mood, your energy level, and it'll just, think about it, if you're in a better mood and you have more energy, you're more likely to do things. So you won't procrastinate. You'll be like, man, I'm ready to go. So eating the right foods, drinking enough water, and staying away from a lot of sugary like sodas will make you feel a lot better. And if you could see the reward in that, hey, you're probably saving money, because all those sugary drinks and like bad food, they cost sometimes more than going and getting the good food. So the reward is not only feel better, you'll save money. A third option, or the third one that's on my list, is exercise. People think that they don't have time for exercise. I'm sure if you evaluate your day and you can figure out a point during your day, first thing in the morning maybe, that's when I do it, you can get in like 15 minutes of exercise. You don't have to do a lot. It just starts with just getting that routine in. Yeah, we're not looking for miracles here. We are looking for you to establish a good habit. Even if it's 1 minute a day that you just get up and you twist your arms around and you just move your body a little bit, and that's how you start your exercise program when you first get up in the morning, it's a start to a healthy habit. And what happens is, once you start that healthy habit, it evolves. And eventually you're like, you know what? I'm going to do more than a minute. I'm going to do 2. And then it turns into 5. And then pretty soon you have an exercise routine down. You're feeling good. You're like starting to buy new clothes because you're slimming. And it really can do you wonders. All you have to do, it's not about being an exercise like master. It's just about starting the act. Just starting the act. 1 minute. Start it. Just get a thought in your mind, that point in the morning or that point in the day where you do the same thing, and you're going to form a new healthy habit. The next one is time management. Now, this is huge because think about our kids, even us as adults, the phone, right? It takes away so much time. Whenever you're sitting down, like waiting somewhere, you used to talk to the person sitting next to you, or you'd be thinking in your head, like about like what you need to do. But now we have our phones and we're just sitting here like a zombie, just like looking down at it, at reels and things that don't matter. That's why I tell you at the beginning of this podcast to tap yourself on the back for listening to something that's going to help your life, because you can be spending that time instead of watching a video or something that, it's funny, right? And we think it's hilarious, or it's like a movie and it's interesting, but is it improving our life? Is it going to help us or hinder us? Is it giving us success or taking away from our success? So, and that's what I mean is if you figure out, what, I have some downtime on my phone, I have Kindle Unlimited. I can read a book that I'm interested in that's going to help my life. So you can spend that extra 15 minutes or that hour when you're waiting for the doctor or the DMV. We all know that we have plenty of time there. And instead of grumbling and being mad that we have to wait, now the reward is that time is like time given back to your life, where you're going to use that extra time to learn something. So now not only are you happier at the DMV, you're getting smarter. You're enjoying the time. You appreciate it. So you won't mind waiting the next time in the doctor's office. So your time management is going to be huge. Use your time wisely. And if you get used to, instead of opening up Facebook or opening up YouTube, even though I'm on YouTube right now, and just watching things that won't help you in life, but figure out ways that you can change that downtime into ways that can help you succeed in life, then you will appreciate the time that you have, and you will definitely improve your time management skills. Another habit to improve on is money management. I know when I was younger, I used to see something and I thought, I want that. And I would just go buy it. It wasn't necessarily expensive, but I just bought it. And I didn't really think about it. When a lot of things that we buy turn to junk, or it's in our basement. So what good is it doing you right then and there? You're going to collect clutter. You don't want to throw it away because it's kind of valuable, or you could use it again in the future. Um, you know, but really, if you evaluate how you want to spend your money, set up a money management plan where you can save each month so that looking in the future, you'll have a little bit of extra money for an emergency fund, for something that you need to buy, or something that you want to buy. So, if you want, say, like I used to buy like my cars, I would buy them with cash because I would save up money for like 3 years. Whenever I bought a car, then I would start saving for my next car, because what would happen is, well, I'm saving up for 3 years probably, and that money would gain interest. And then when it came time to buy another car, I would have the money to buy another car. I wouldn't have to take out a loan, so I didn't waste the money on interest to pay the person at the bank or whoever it may be. So, things like that, like managing your money, is going to help you out your whole life. And it'll keep you from having that clutter in the basement. It'll have you having or saving more money in your bank. You feel good when you have a little bit of extra money. You don't need to spend it. It kind of gives you that base to work from in life. You're like, I have enough money to support myself. And if you really want to go out and eat dinner with some people, you can do it. You have that extra money, and you can evaluate that and say, you know what, this meets with my plans. It makes me happy. I can afford to spend this money. I'm not going to go into debt, and I'm going to have money at the end of the month. So you know what? I'm going to go ahead and do it. But managing your money is going to keep you free from having or feeling that anxiety, that knowing, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to pay this bill this month, or I know I can't afford this. Like, they're going to take this car back, or like I can't afford the gas bill. They're going to shut off my gas or my electricity. Like, that's a bad feeling. I mean, I've never felt that, and I never hope I have to, but I'm sure it's not good. So managing your money is going to be huge. And the last thing, the last good habit that I think will change your life, I think is the most important one, and this is personal. This is mindfulness. What is mindfulness? Mindfulness is basically being aware of how you feel about things, what you think about things, and why you think and feel about these things the way you do. Because when you're aware of how you feel, your thoughts, and your actions, then it helps you control them better. especially when you're in situations, say like a public situation where you ever meet with a person and then there's someone who constantly just jumps in a conversation and doesn't let the other person finish. Like, they're not very mindful of the situation. They're not aware of what's going on. They're not aware of how what they're doing, their action is affecting those people around them. They're cutting everyone off. Or, when something happens to you and you may feel embarrassed, like if it's not your fault, then, like you can kind of compartmentalize that in your mind and say, you know what? Yes, this is embarrassing. Okay. But I'm not the only one this has happened to, and you can get over it, and it can help you a lot. I guarantee if you take something that you feel is embarrassing at first and laugh about it, then others will laugh with you, and the situation will not be that bad. For instance, at the beginning of January, I think it was actually New Year's Eve, I was on my friend's island, and he has a floating dock, and then he has a dock that's, stationary dock that's on the land. And there's a gap between the two. And I was helping this lady get over the gap. And she had leaned against me, and I fell backwards, and I went right butt into the water. I was gross, wet, and I could have been embarrassed, and I was not embarrassed. I was more concerned about my flip-flop that I lost in the mud, and I never found it either. But, I knew that this wasn't my fault. And yes, it's actually kind of funny. Like, would I laugh if someone fell off the dock? I would. If they didn't get hurt, then I think it would be kind of funny, right? Like, dude, you're wet and gross. And I was wet and gross. And so I didn't feel embarrassed at all. I laughed it off, and I just went home and changed, came back, and you know what? Had a good laugh with everybody. And they, like Ryan said, I knew someone had to be the first one to fall off the dock. And yeah, I was the first one that fell off the dock. And so there you go. Yeah. So if you're mindful of your life, of your situations, of your thoughts, of your feelings, it's going to help you deal with them in so many different ways. And I think out of all those habits, if you can evaluate how you feel, how you think, and how you act, it's going to help you out a lot in this life. And if you can figure out some of those that may be bad habits and figure out a new way of making them into a good habit, then you're really going to succeed in this life. And if you do that all the time until you keep changing into that way you want your life to be, you're going to have a pretty successful life. And that's how the ripple effect of healthy habits are going to help you. And with that, I'm going to do a little summary of what we learned today. We learned the impact of habits. We learn how to recognize our habits by asking ourselves the question, is this my action helping me or hindering me? How habits are formed through the habit loop with the trigger, the routine, and the reward. And if we recognize the trigger, change the routine, give ourselves a new reward, then we're going to make a good habit. And we learned 6 good habits. Our sleep, eating whole foods, fruits, vegetables, exercising, time management, money management, and the one I think is most important, mindfulness. And with that, I'm going to read the quote again from John C. Maxwell. Quote, "You'll never change your life until you change something you do daily. The secret of your success is found in your daily routine." End quote. And thank you for listening to today's podcast. And you can find me on Facebook at the Social Seed Podcast. You can go to thesocialseedpodcast.com. Join up, help me out. And most importantly, if you can help me out, hit that subscribe button or press the like button. Give me a comment down below and let me know what you think about today's video and how you feel that I'm doing, and give me a little bit of feedback so that I know what I'm doing is making a difference. All right. Thank you very much. Have a great day. Make some habits turn from bad to good and practice that mindfulness. Have a good day.